Hey again, it's Christina from Sunshine and Flora. So today's project is prepping for tomorrow's third round of spring bouquet subscriptions to go out. So I'm hydrating tulips and I thought I would set the camera up and show you my process. So first, let's get them out of the cooler. So if you're new to my channel, I have a whole room that is my floral cooler. Ta-da! It's roughly an 8x8 in size. You can see I have a lot of flowers ready for the bouquets on the ground. Got a good shelving unit here, just storing some trays up there. And this is powered by a mini split air conditioner. And then that is a cool bot that overrides the temperature. But what we're in here for is this crate of tulips. So this is how I store tulips after I have harvested them. I store them right in the bulb crates. I save all of these that I get when I get orders. And let me turn this around so you can see better. I store them upright like this in the cooler. And the reason that I do this is tulips are, and there's a word for it and I never can remember what it's called, but they will grow the way the light is. So if I would, for example, store them like this with the crate lying down, you would notice the tulips curve upward. They also continue to grow in the vase once you have given them to your customers. When you put them in water, you'll probably have noticed that tulips continue to get taller. So when I harvest them, I keep the bulb on and then I put them in the crates and I store them just like this. And I put some bamboo sticks in here so that they don't fall out. And they will store for a few weeks. In fact, I think these have been in the cooler for 3 weeks and they look perfect. Now I always harvest them a little bit immature. They were not quite this pink when I harvested them. Now that I'm ready to use them, they look absolutely perfect. So what we need to do to rehydrate them is cut the bulb off. I usually remove some of the lower leaves, give them a good rinse, and then I'm gonna wrap them in paper and put them in a bucket. So that's pretty much what I wanna show you. So I like to have a trash can or something in front of me, just so that I have kind of a lower surface to work on. And then I like to put just some paper kind of roughly folded like I would for a bouquet. I'll put that down in front of me, and as I'm washing the tulips, I'm just making a stack on here, and this ultimately will get wrapped around the tulips to keep them together, and I'll show you all this, and then we'll get them in the bucket. These are gonna hydrate overnight, and then I can start working with them tomorrow. So the first thing I need to do is fill a bucket of water so it's ready. All right, so I've got my clippers, and basically what I need to do is to remove the bulb, some of the lower leaves, give them a little rinse and get them ready to go in the paper. Now I've done that with a few tulips already. You can see the bottom leaves are all removed. I like to give them just a little bit of a rinse to get some of that initial mud off. The parts of the stem that are in the water soaking overnight, that mud is going to kind of dissolve into the water on its own anyway. But basically, I'm just gonna cut the bulb off, cut the stem right next to the bulb to give the longest stem possible. These single tulips always have big, thick leaves towards the bottom, so I end up removing 2. There's always a lot of mud in there, especially if these have gotten rained on. I usually get a few at a time ready. These are so tall. This peach variety, peachy pink, I think this is Menton. Always a pretty one. All right. So now what I'm gonna do is give it a little bit of a rinse, rub some of the dirt off, lay them on my paper towel just to soak up a little bit of that water for a bit. And then I'm gonna get a big pile together to wrap in the paper. Now I know some of you are probably going to comment down below and ask, what are you going to do with the bulb? Well, it goes in my compost pile. Because I am removing the stem and all the foliage from the bulb, this is the part of the plant that would die back, get that sun in, feed it its energy to bloom and develop a plant again next year. So I'm taking all of that away. So even if you plant this bulb, it might spike up a leaf maybe, but it's not gonna flower again. So these bulbs are better used to put in my compost to make homemade compost. They are not worth planting, trust me. I know that's always kind of a hard thing to realize. You buy all these bulbs, which are usually pretty pricey, and then you just compost them. But tulips are treated like annuals. Now, daffodils, on the other hand, I'm gonna do a video coming up All that foliage is currently starting to die back, but I want to replant that area. I have a method I'm going to try to kind of move things out of the way so I can get things planted before all of that foliage is died back. Because my daffodil bed is a really good one, and I don't want to hinder any of next year's growth. All right, so I've got these cut off. I'm going to give them a rinse, get them in my pile. Okay, I'm going to get this crate done. There were 90 tulips, by the way, in this crate. For all the bouquets that I have to make tomorrow, I think I have 19 or 20. I should be able to put maybe 4 to 5 tulips per bouquet, and then I have all the other flowers in the cooler that you will see me use as well that pretty much has come out of the hoop house. So I'm going to get these cleaned. I'll turn the camera on when I move on to the next step. Okay, so all of these are processed. They're looking really good. I'm just making a pile. And I pulled one tulip out I wanted to save and show you guys. See this guy? He's really, really floppy. Now, most of my tulips actually aren't like that because they had the bulb on. This one did not have the bulb on. But when I pull this out tomorrow and it has been in the cooler rehydrating overnight, it will be standing straight up and firm, no more wobbly. Tulips are very, very resilient. I also keep realizing that I should wear an apron when I do these things. All right, so here is my bunch of 90 tulips. What I'm gonna do, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just gonna draw my paper closed. Put a couple staples in. Here's my bucket. These are my black buckets from Johnny's that I use. And I'm going to put the tulips in here. Now, I can see that some of them are not reaching to the water, so I just need to fill this up probably to about here to make sure. There's some short ones in here, which is okay because I have one vase arrangement to do tomorrow. But I want to make sure that the water is hitting the bottom of all of these stems. And a lot of times I will try to get all the stems kind of lining up at the bottom, but a few of them are short and I don't want the blooms to get too squished. You can see some of those just pulled down in. So we'll just add a little bit more water to the bucket. What a beautiful mix. Pinks, reds, yellows, purples, that's gonna be pretty. Okay, all the stems are covered. This is going to go back in the cooler overnight. These will be fully hydrated and then ready to use. So this video will pick back up tomorrow when I am assembling all of my bouquets. Okay, good morning. It's the next day. I'm getting ready to put all of my spring bouquet subscriptions together. And you can see I've got my beautiful bucket of tulips here on the counter. I did source a couple bunches of tulips from somebody else. So I got some white and pink. Just to have some extra. Never hurts to have extra, but the tulips that we hydrated yesterday are looking amazing. So we're gonna put 5 tulips in each bouquet, and then I've got 3 buckets of all of this. So I've got snapdragons, I've got dianthus that I harvested, and then I also have cress. So I'm gonna start with this mixture. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. I think I have 18 of these to make. Move my wastebasket closer here. I like to start with the cress in the middle. It's such a good filler, but I feel like it just adds the sparkle to the middle. Then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put the 5 tulips, I'm gonna tuck them in around it. 1, 2, 3, let's use a hot pink. 4. Let's do another purple. 5. Okay. So that's already looking really good. Tulips I'm not going to put above the crest because these are going to continue to grow in the vase. Okay, let's get some snapdragons. 3. And then let's do 4 the dianthus around the edge. Now I have the sweet white. And I also have from out in the garden, these were planted last summer. I thought maybe they would develop and bloom in the cool fall. They did not. They actually wintered over in our temperatures and they're blooming now. Crazy. So I've got different pinks from that. I think it's the sweet bicolor and then whatever the pinks are. Maybe everything is the bicolor. All right, so that's looking really good. I'm just gonna add this up in my head quick. These are supposed to be about $25 bouquets. Okay, so I really should add a little bit more than this. I also sourced some status, so I think I'll just put a couple pieces of status around the edge. Oh yeah, that really adds. 1, 2. Yep, that's gonna do it. All right, give it a trim. Then I do like to give it an extra rinse after I rubber band it, just because my tulips always have a little mud on the bottom, but I always tell my customers, you can tell that they're fresh harvested if they have a little bit of mud on them. There we go, give it a little bit of a spray. Couple staples. There we go. That is a bright, cheery bouquet for Memorial Day weekend. I need to grab a bucket of water. I haven't even done that yet. And then let's put one more together and then I'm just gonna try to bust these out as fast as I can. All right, start with a nice piece of cress again and 5 tulips. 1, actually had my first bouquet pickup already. The store is actually open. So I'm trying to listen for people to pop in as I'm doing this. All right, 4 or 5 snapdragons. I had someone comment on my last video that the reason my snapdragon stems are a little thin could be the need for fertilizer. So I'm gonna give them another good dose of fertilizer this weekend. I did really amend the soil before they were planted. I usually do a starter fertilizer and then I did like topsoil and compost in there. But you know, when you plant them in the fall, you don't think about over winter, maybe they're kind of eating all those nutrients up. So I have fertilized them this spring, but I think I just really, now that they're putting on growth, need to get in a weekly regimen. So I've got some more Neptune's fish emulsion. The fish emulsion, I think that's what it's called. There's a picture over here. I've got more of that ordered and I'm going to give them a real good dose when that comes in I think 3 days. All right, we'll do a couple of the dianthus, and then 2 of the status. Oh, so pretty. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, maybe you've noticed I've had a flurry of videos lately. I think I'm finally in the groove of doing garden work, taping while I'm doing garden work. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't, but I'm gonna have regular content all the time, just kind of documenting what I'm doing on the farm. So yeah, it'll be pretty exciting spring. And it's fun to already have blooms to be able to share with people. All right, let's go ahead and do just one more together. I am so thankful to have this cress for this early season. This was all self-seeded from last year, and I would be completely fine if this did this every single year. Let's use a red one this time. This kind of pinkish salmon-colored tulip is called Menton. It's a really nice one. Ooh, here's an orange one. Let's give this person an orange one. Lucky person. I think that's the only orange one in the bucket. I'll use all white dianthus for this one. 2, 3, 4, and some status. 1, 2. Pull this snapdragon up. All right, another beauty. And you'll notice how fast these go together. For my subscription bouquets, they're pretty much all the same. So I kind of have a recipe that I use when these go out the door. So it goes really, really fast and is just a really easy process. The goal is to get these put together as fast as I possibly can. All right. So there's what week 3 of my spring bouquet subscription looks like. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here because I'm going to get these all put together really fast. The store is open. I'm having a Memorial Day sale, so I'm sure it's going to be kind of busy today. So anyway, you guys will probably see this after Memorial Day weekend. So I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. And like I said, stay tuned for lots of content yet this gardening season. We're finally past our cold weather. And so next week will be a lot of planting and I will document it all. So watch for that. We'll see you soon.